Hello and welcome to another edition of The Great Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. In this edition, I would like to discuss with you the subject of self-worship. Now, I know I've touched on this subject many times before in the course of my videos, but I would like to discuss it with you again. And self-worship, as everyone knows, is wrong, and your conscience should tell you that it's wrong, but some people's consciences aren't working properly, or else they're ignoring their consciences because they do self-worship. They either say, I am a god, or I am a goddess, or they revere themselves and think that they're worthy of worship, and that's just wrong. Now, I'm well aware that there are some religions where they believe that you are a god or a goddess, most notably Mormonism. In Mormonism, they teach that everyone is a god or a goddess. And while I respect everyone's freedom of religion and their right to their own beliefs, I disagree completely with the Mormon message. I disagree with Mormonism. I don't believe that we are all gods and goddesses. I believe that there's a great goddess and that she is our creator and that we owe her all of our worship. I don't believe that we are worthy of worship or that we're gods and goddesses. I just don't believe that. Now, let me read to you, I would like to read to you a letter that I wrote to my friend Judy on the subject of self-worship. So just a second. You are right about self-worship. It is bad news. These goddess worshippers are being seduced into the self-worship crowd. The New Agers used to say, I am God. They said it and they believed it. Evidently, it is taught by some popular gurus from India and has currency in the New Age movement. Ironically, it is those who are down on their luck who are most likely to believe it. They say, oh, you're down on your luck, but despite everything you've been through, look on the bright side. You are God. Nice, huh? The latest incarnation of this is You Are Goddess for women only, and it is particularly seductive, as it is a corruption of the divine feminine idea that each woman and man has goddess inside of her. It is a leap from there to say you are goddess, but one many former New Agers are primed to make. Here's a joke. Don't bother me, hun. I have a headache today, and I'm a goddess. That seems to be the prevailing attitude. It is accepted along the lines of, oh, for crying out loud, I'm a goddess, or the attitude of, just go with it. It is usually accompanied with some claptrap about freeing the female orgasm, healing the wounded female warrior, etc. As I said, it's very seductive and very clever, but it's a trap of sin. Now, as I've said before, self-worship is very seductive, and it can suck a person in, and they can believe that they're worthy of worship when they're not. And that is a great travesty of justice, because it's so wrong to worship oneself. But people who believe that they're a god or a goddess with a small g, they believe it because they think, well, the divine is in everyone. So if the divine is in everyone, then everyone must be god or goddess. And that's false. That's a false assertion, because you can have the divine within you, but that doesn't make you the divine itself. The divine resides in you and with you, but it doesn't mean that you're divine. Take, for example, the goddess. Goddess is the divine feminine, and each of us has goddess within. Goddess within me, goddess within you. And just because we have goddess within us doesn't make us God or goddess. It doesn't, because the goddess has given us free will and we are our egos. So what this means is that the ego is your core personality. It's everything that makes you uniquely you. And if that core personality, that ego, is given free will, which it is, then you are actually your egos, not goddess. And I've discussed this before. I've explained before that the core personality, the ego, is the actual source of our uniqueness and what makes us human, and not the divine feminine within us. The divine feminine within us sustains us. It keeps us alive, and it gives us the energy that sustains our existence. It is not, it's a part of us, but it is not us. So we are not divine ourselves. We have the divine within us, but we're not divine ourselves. We are our egos. And you're only as good as your behavior. As my friend Judy pointed out the other day, people should be judged on their behavior and what they do rather than what they believe or their religious faith. And while I agree with that to a certain extent, because one's faith is important and does influence one's outlook on life and even one's behavior, I do agree that one's behavior is important. And if you're only as good as your behavior, then obviously, even if you were perfectly behaved, you would not be worthy of worship, because you're not goddess. Goddess is the only one worthy of worship. But if you were perfect, then you would be able to claim that you were closer to divinity than if you were poorly behaved, let's say, for example. So you get closer to the divine, but that doesn't mean you are divine. It just means that you are closer to her, and that you've drawn close to her in your everyday life. And so if you want to realize your divinity, that the divine within, and draw closer to goddess, you have to do her will. You have to do what she wants you to do all of the time, which is be good. She wants you to be good, and she wants you to follow your conscience in all things, and to never do anything that's harmful to another human being. She wants you to have a tender conscience and be soft and take care of other people and be very kind. So that is the summation of what Goddess expects of us. So now you know you are not divine. You are not a god or a goddess. Only Goddess is worthy of worship. Only the divine is worthy of worship, not you. So it's a part of you, but it's not you. That's the best way I can explain it. It's in you, but it is not of you, because you are your ego, your core personality, and not Goddess. Tune in next time for another edition of The Great Goddess.